So, we just had music by Calvin Cold, and now we will talk about music again. Music with robots. I'm here with Moritz Simon Geist. Hi, Moritz.
Hi.
And he is media artist, robotic musician, and recently published the first techno record played entirely by self-made robots. There you go. I never heard of that before, actually, but I watched a lot of videos of you doing music with your robots, and you're surrounded by many tiny robots that do the music, clicking sounds and stuff. Where are they today?
Oh, they're actually downstairs here in our airplane, because I brought all of them, or some of them at least, to Austin.
Yeah. Okay, and you've wrapped them in well because you need it for the performance in the German house on Saturday. I hope they all survive the flight, right?
Well, yeah, I hope too, but it's up to the pilot at least what he does with the airplane. So yes, okay. But they'll be fine.
Yeah. So let's say you do handmade music with robots, which seems to be like a contradiction because handmade physical music, but you do electronic music, which is, well, electronic. Why? How come?
So basically the idea is to... Oh no, I start differently. I started making electronic music, but I'm also a pianist and a clarinet player. So when I started doing electronic music, I of course used synthesizers and computers, but I always had the impression that something's missing. So I started to develop objects like robots which can play techno but are actually seated in the real world. That means I, for example, take a motor or like a mechanical system that beats on a snare, for example. And this is so much different to when I just play a sample in the computer, because now it's also happening in the real world. And this like got bigger and bigger, and now I have like a big robotic system which plays electronic music but without electronics. So basically I'm doing electronic music without a computer and without a synthesizer, but I just have it before me. It's just happening there on my table.
And like the German band Meute, I don't know who of you knows them. They do techno as well as a marching brass band somehow. So they do techno as well, played with instruments. So there is a concept behind that. So why do you want to play? Why do you want to make it in the real world and not on a laptop with all the knobs and programming?
I think in the last years there was a lot of need for extending the possibilities in electronic music, because a lot has been done already. When we started with synthesizer music maybe in the 70s and 80s, and then went on with all the electronic music in the 2000s with like this laptop DJ scene, the music shifted to not having anything performative on the stage. So people or DJs, they started to have like visuals on the stage, which is now happening a lot also for DJs. They have like the DJ desk and they have a visual system. But what's lacking all the time is that you as an audience and also like as a performer, you don't have anything that's tangible anymore. You don't have any instruments for electronic music. I mean, the sound is really good, but you need to have something in your hands. And so I think there's like a lot of artists which are taking the structures, the repetitive moments of electronic music, and they are adding this up with handmade stuff like Meute you mentioned, or Brandbrauer Frick, also like another band from Germany, or are there numerous other acts. And I think the time is just there for extending, making music with physical objects rather than only electronics.
Is that a trend, would you say, or is it rather a few artists who do that?
I would say it's a trend, because in digital music a lot has been done already, and artists are always seeking for the extension of their possibilities. And when you have like the frequency spectrum, you only have like a very, I mean, it's kind of limited what you can do. And when you add like samples, when you add live performative elements inside that, you have like at some point you have like an explosion of more possibilities of what you can do. And also it adds a lot of like how can I say,
evolvement maybe?
No, the groove gets differently when you use like real instruments, when you use samples as well, and also robots. the futuristic way of making electronic music, then you have like another feeling of how the music is. It's not so digital, it's not so cold, so it adds another layer of warmth to the sound and to the groove, and that is super intriguing for a lot of people.
And so you do it a bit as well to have a cooler show and a more attractive show. But how do the people react? What do they say to your shows when you do techno?
No, first of all, for me, it's really the future of electronic music.
Yeah.
So this is the first thing why I do it, because I really believe that we have to extend our possibilities as artists and like as humanity in whole. And this is like one way of doing this. But when I'm playing a show, it's mostly people say like, okay, what's happening? I'm confused. And then they kind of get that all the sounds they hear are coming from actual robots. And I think it triggers like this inner child in a lot of people, like this playfulness and like this, okay, I've been tinkering with Legos when I was young, and like, wow, this guy, he's doing like crazy shit with like self-made robotic stuff. That's cool.
Yeah.
And
it's cool. He built something. Yay. Okay. I do understand. Yeah. And do you build all your robots yourself, and how do you get inspired by sounds? Like, do you go through the world and think, that sounds cool, I'm gonna take that and do a robot out of it? Or how does that work?
I don't know if you did it, but when I was young and at school, there's like a ruler, and if you put the ruler to the table, you can just like dangle on the side, and then it makes like this noise, and you can change the pitch and make like
Yeah.
And so
well described. I do I remember, yeah.
Okay. So this is like how I approach it. This is how I approach my work, because I'm trying to go around in the world and just like seek for sounds with an open ear. And when I did find one sound, then I'm just trying to build this into a robotic system and put a lot of wrap a lot of technique around it, so that I can in the end make a sound. But as well, I'm also planning robots. I mean, I do this for 10-15 years already, so I have like a lot of experimental and things I blew up and things that didn't work. A lot of stuff didn't work, but through like the whole experimentation, you get to you get a lot of knowledge about how stuff works.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like field recording in a way. And do you have a sound that you'd like to make, but you didn't find a way yet?
I mean, bass sounds is like always very difficult to make in the real world. I think that's also why bass is so intriguing for a lot of people, because like in nature, like the bass is not so much happening, rather than maybe thunder. So bass is very important, but with like real objects, you have like to have like real big drums or real big corpses to do this sound. So this is like the most important, but also the most hardest sound to make with robots.
Yeah. Okay. And you already said it. You think that will be the future of electronic music, you said. But I must say, it really is worth to watch his videos, because it's so cool. You are like the conductor of robots. You're in the middle, and here you activate a robot and then a clicking sound and stuff. So but it seems so much effort, like much more effort than just to have the electronic music on your laptop. So do you really think that will be the music, like a mainstream future, or for many musicians? Because they might think like, no, I just put it on the laptop, then I have my little bag and go, and that's it.
Yeah, no, it's not the future of music, it's one future of music. So basically in design, you always have like a future cone of all the different futures you could have. Yeah. It's called speculative future. And so this is kind of one speculative future which we have. But I mean, automatization and robotization is all around us. And so I really think it will spread in a lot of different themes. And I think in music as well. I wouldn't say like everybody will have this on the on his or her table to make music with. But on the other hand, like 20 years ago, we didn't think that it would be possible to have like objects made on my desk, and now we have like 3D printers basically for a few $100. So there's a transition.
Yeah. You work with 3D printers quite often then as well. Yeah. That's handy.
That's handy. I have a lot of 3D printers.
Yeah. And when we talk about then as well, like the future of music in general, did you ever think of letting an AI do the composing work?
Definitely, it's one of the most interesting fields for me to combine these fields like AI and AI composition and robotization. But on the other hand, this is like a little different subjects. I mean, AI composition doesn't actually matter what you let the AI composition play. You can have like only a synthesizer playing the music, or you can have like an orchestra play the music, or you can have robots play the music. Yeah, so it's two different development stages.
Yeah. But on your record, that was founded as well by the Initiative Music, which I think was very good for you then. But on your record, you, recorded the music played by the robot. So the handmade now got to a CD again. And it lacks the performance. So what happens with your music played handmade then on the CD when you listen? I mean, does it loosen something? What would you say?
I mean, like with robots, it's always, it has many different layers, and it has visual aspect because you can see where the sound is coming from. You have a drum where something's beating on and you really want to see that. You have the sound, which you can hear. And you can touch it as a composer, at least not as the audience maybe. And so when you record it, of course, it like lacks like the visual and the tangible aspect. But on the other hand, I'm in this tech and music field, and in the music field, like making a proper recording and doing a video is still a thing. Though you have like all the streaming stuff, you have videos and so on, but you still have to have like a CD as like a fixed piece of work. It's like still an accepted piece of work which you have to do. So and also for me as an artist, it's good like to say, okay, this is like one point now, I do a record, this is like my status which I have now musically. So that's why.
Very good. So now we talked so much about the music you do, so you really need to come along to the German House on Saturday. It starts at 10 and I think you're on pretty much at 10ish.
10 in the morning.
10 in the morning, yeah. 10 a.m. There you go. And we'll have a talk then as well. But more so important, you then perform. Because 2017, you won a Visual Music Award for Visual Music Live Contest category. So it is worth see him play live. So thank you very much.